So I've chosen these. There are a lot of endgame studies, and I think you had seen the concept of endgame studies back in the level 2, I think, towards the end of the class, right? And we had seen some very instructive basic studies, including those 3 pawns each, right? The pawn movement. Plus, we had seen one Reti study, which was saying that the geometry of the chessboard is where the diagonal is equal to the straight line distance, unlike in school geometry that we study. So those were many examples. So let us continue. Let us see some more studies. Okay. So this study is known as, okay, I'm joining, Uday is joining. Let me just admit. Okay, so this study is known as the bomb, okay, and you will see it why it is known as that. So white to play and win. Just observe the position first. White's pawn is at h6, so 2 steps away from queening. The queening square, hello, hi. Queening square is controlled by, not directly right now, but the bishop is well placed to control the queening square, right? Bishop is there on d4, and right now black's own pawn is there, but as soon as the black's pawn moves, so it trivially just playing h7 is not going to win for white, right? If you play h7, then it is not going to be winning for winning for white. So what is the thing? Don't if I don't know whether the solution is visible. No, right? I hope I had made it interactive lesson, but I'm showing it myself. But anyway, don't look at, even if you can see the moves, please don't look at it. So please look at it. Try to figure out, and we'll see in a minute. We'll see what is the idea. Okay. Simply pushing the pawn will not help, because black will also push his pawn, and then the black bishop is controlling the queening square. So there is nothing that you can do. So white has to win. So somehow he has to distract the bishop. So anyone wants to suggest the first move? It is logical. Distracting the bishop is very logical, right? So first move should be very obvious.
Sir, bishop to a7.
Correct. Bishop to a7, and if black takes the bishop, then the pawn will be able to queen, because pawn will go to h7, and then there is no time for black to come back, push the pawn, and then guard the h8 square. So black bishop cannot take the white bishop. Black bishop cannot leave the long diagonal also, right? Black cannot leave the long diagonal, because if it leaves the long diagonal, then again the pawn is going to be queening. So black just plays bishop to a1. Now obviously you should harass the bishop, right? Not have him stay here. So then he still has got c3 square. Again white king will harass him. Now the bishop cannot go to, where he cannot go to? He cannot go to d4, he cannot go to c3, cannot go to b2, but he has to go to a1 and sit there, right? So now is the crucial thing. Now what happens? What does white play now? Now is the bomb. White now lays the bomb. Now h7, are you suggesting now h7? H7 is not going to, because the black pawn will move, and then you cannot control, right? So the bomb is this. White plays bishop to d4. Now what happens if black takes the bishop with the pawn? Then what happens? Then it's an easy win. You simply block with the king. Now the pawn is going to be blocked, and hence this bishop will not be able to either h8 square. So even if the black king moves, then the pawn can move ahead, and it is going to become a queen, right? So pawn cannot take the bishop. What else can do? This bishop cannot go anywhere else. So the bishop has to take the white bishop, right? Now white plays king to d3. Now do you see the point now? Black to play. You can play anything. King will come. King is going to block the pawn. That's the whole idea. So now if you see the pawn right now cannot push, because if you push it, then king will take the bishop, and then hence the pawn will queen. So pawn cannot push. If bishop simply goes ahead on somewhere on the diagonal, then the king goes ahead and blocks the pawn from moving. So now no matter what black does, the pawn is going to queen, right? So this was the clever move. After king came to c2, now he has got access to d3, and that is when white can lay the bomb. So bishop to d4 is the thing. So after this, it is lost, completely lost position for black, right? Do you see any defensive moves? So this is and so like this there are hundreds of studies, but I've just chosen a few of them which are also instructive in the likely to be instructive in your normal gameplay, right? So these are the things that will happen, right? In pawn trying to queen, lot of things in the end game like this it happens, and the bishops are very good long range pieces, but instructive to know how you can, if and how, if you can block a bishop, then that can become a very key move in your thing. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let us try. I don't think anyone can see any other defensive move for black. It is kind of obvious right here. So okay, let us see another very interesting study. This was this was created by Emanuel Lasker. Remember the second world champion, right? So this is the position. White's pawn is one step away from queening. Black's pawn is also one step away from queening, right? A nice symmetrical position of the rooks and the pawns, and it is white to play and win. Okay, so it is not so obvious, so I'll just show. And this study is called a ballet dance because of the specific moves of the kings. It almost happens in a very rhythmic fashion, like a ballet dance. Okay, so that's why this study is called the ballet dance. So we start with the king coming to b8, okay, threatening to queen the pawn, right? So black king has no black rook has no option other than giving a check to the king, and king goes to 8, and black again takes up the position behind the pawn. So now if white king has to do something, if he just comes to b8, then it is no use, right? Again the check will happen, so it is not. So now the ballet dance starts. Okay, see, very interesting. Rook gives a check to the black king. Where can black king go? Where will you suggest? There are only two moves. b4, b5 or a5? Come on, be on the chat.
A5.
e5, yeah. b5 is instantly losing, right? Do you know why? Because you shield the king, you kind of shield it from the rook. So next move, obviously, what white will do is play the king to b8, and now you cannot give him a check. Now you cannot, and the next move the pawn is going to queen. So rook will have to sacrifice itself, and king, and then it's an easy win, right? So king can never come to the b file because it is kind of shielding the white king from the check like an umbrella. So king has to come to a5. Okay, now white king starts his own king to b7, again threatening to queen the pawn. So again black has no option other than giving a check. So king, where does he go now? He goes to a7 now, one square ahead. Everything is shifting one square ahead. Okay, again black rook has to go back to the guard duty, not allowing the thing. Again same thing, white cannot come to the b file yet because the rook will check, and after that again he will guard it, right? So what does what does white do now? Now white starts the rhythmic dance. Again black king has to come to a4, not b4. White king comes to b6. Rook gives a check. King goes to a6. Rook comes back behind the pawn. And white rook gives a check. King comes to a3. White king again goes to b6. Black rook has to give a check, but this time the king comes to a5, and there is a reason why this is very important. So black rook goes back to the guard duty. White rook gives a check again. King has to come to a2, not b2. b2 again will shield the white king, right? So king has to come to a2. Why not rook a4? Where? Wait. Rook to a4 check. Okay, you are saying rook to a4. Fine. King comes to b3. Do you see that the black pawn is also one step away from queening? And it is white's intention is to win, not a draw. So you can't say that rook b4, rook a4, I will keep giving checks. That is not the intention. White has to win it. So white gives one more check. Now king comes to a2. Now can you see the move now? Now it is based on distraction. Yeah, Ramnath, you are right. Rook crosses a2, h2. Now offering the rook and immobilizing the black rook. So black rook, even if it wants, it cannot take the c7 pawn now because it is pinned against the king. So only thing black rook can do is take this rook, but then white will queen it. Okay, now this is a end game which we need to know, but a queen against a rook, as long as the rook is away from the black king, very few positions are there in which the rook can draw. Otherwise it is almost this one. So in this particular position, again the rook is far away, and even if it comes back closer, the position of the black king is such that white will be able to force the win here with his queen. Okay, so anyway, we are not seeing the position after this. Sometime else we can look at the rook versus the queen endgame, but it's a theoretically one endgame here, so that is where it ends. But very interesting the way the movement of the king was, right? Fine. Now the next position that we will see is known as the Lucena bridge, and this is of fundamental importance to the rook and pawn endgames. This is the absolute foundation for the rook and pawn endgames, and everyone must know this at level 3. Definitely you should know this. Okay, so we'll spend some time. We'll first let us look at it. There is only one particular way to win this. First, let us look at this carefully. White is white king is about to escort the pawn to the queen, but white king needs some safe house away from black rook's checks. Otherwise, it is a continuous set of checks, and that doesn't prevent. I mean, that prevents the white king from getting one time respite by the time he queens the pawn. Okay, so the rook is putting this one. Black rook is controlling this line, and the other side, black king is there, which is not allowing the white king to escape under the protection of the rook. Okay, so what happens if you simply give a check trying to drive away the king? King will come to e7, and what will happen is, what will happen if you king comes to, if white king tries to come out, then again black starts checking. All right, so what can white do? He will have to come here maybe, right? Not trying to block, but again check no matter what he does. Now if king goes too much away from the pawn, then immediately black threatens the pawn. Now you have to protect the pawn, again commit, then again black will start giving the checks. All right, so there is no respite. Even if you go back and see when we started here, after e7, if king comes to c8 also, rook gives a check, even if there is nothing, right? I mean, there is no way. Now anyway he has to go back to the b8, so that is not a thing. So this is not going to help. So what does white do? What does white do here? How can he make progress?
Can you go to the original position?
Okay, let's go back to the original position. This is the original position white to play.
Rook c8 check.
Rook c8 check. Huh? Okay. King to d7.
Rook c7 check.
Rook c7 check, king to d8. So black king is very cleverly not allowing the white king to come out. That is the whole idea. If black king leaves these positions, right, and allows the king to slide through, when the rook is on c7, if the white king manages to come to c8, then it's a win, right? Immediately the pawn is going to queen and shielding with the thing. So that is not. So now how do you get this breathing space? That's the whole question. Anyone else has any other thing? Ramnath, rook c8 we already checked, right? Just now. Anyone has any other idea? See, going like this is also not going to help, okay? Because black is simply going to maintain the thing, and if you give a check like this, then white king still comes, black king still comes here.
Sir, can you go back to the original position? I think I have another idea.
Yeah.
So if you play rook, first you need to drive away the black king somehow.
How?
I was thinking rook to c6. So
c7.
c7 or c6. So when you
Okay, rook to c7. Okay, black simply maintains the vigil. Black has to maintain the vigil on the a file, otherwise it is gone. Okay. Can you see anything? Any progress now? Rook to even? No. Right now it is. You are telling in the beginning, I think, Ramnath. Currently it is not, right? So yeah, you start with rook to e1. Sorry, rook to d1 it is, not e1. Oh, are you saying that you will play rook to e1? How will that help? So fine, you play that. I don't care. I will just play rook to a6. Or I might not even do this. I might simply play king to d7 also. What can you do? So still not allowing the white king to come out, right? So let us see it. It is not very intuitive. Okay, so we have to see this. Okay, so white does give the check. Black king is forced away to e7. Okay, but now attempting to move the king immediately does not help. So white rook goes to d4. Okay, and you will see the reason why it is there. That's why this is called as building the bridge, and you will understand it. Now you try to play from black side. Okay, now I have
Sir,
shown you how black. Yeah.
I think I had learned this about like 3 to 4 years ago, but
Okay.
I've completely forgotten it.
Then it is no use, because this is something that it is like the addition. Okay, now maths addition, what you learn in first standard or second standard, you have to learn it for your entire life. So this is so fundamental. Okay, yeah, I'm sure, because any coaching, if you have gone, they would have taught you this. Okay, so now try to play from the black side.
Sir, it's impossible for black to win now.
Why?
Like it can't. Black can't win if white plays logically.
But can you play now? Can you play win from white side then?
Not sure.
I will play black, you play white, right? So I will play king too. So what does white play now? Let us start.
King to C.
King to c7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now rook to c2. Correct. Rook to c2. King to b6. Rook to,
Sir, the idea is to block the check from the king when the king comes in the front.
yeah. How? That's the thing. So now you will see it.
Um,
We are very close now. Okay. Now
Now that black will give a check again, will black give a check again?
does black need to give a check again?
No.
Please play rook b1.
He can play rook b1.
Yeah.
Okay. But what happens is, if you play rook b1, what happens is white gets this thing, rook in front of the king. Now the king is shielded. Now next move, king will go to c7, and then the pawn will queen, right, with the support of the king. Right?
Sir, black has to give a check, right?
Yeah, so that is, but you have to know why. Okay, so that's why I was demonstrating. So if you leave it, then it is like this. So now black
To be
b5, king b5.
now white king
King
comes to
b5.
a b5 now. Now obviously check, right? There is no other way. But can you see why we called it the bridge? Now white can insert the rook and block the check. And now the pawn is going to queen. So everything is like very, very tight. Okay, everything is that only the only time when the white king loses contact with the pawn, because till that point of time he's on c7, b6, c6, etc. The only time when he loses the contact with the pawn is when it comes to b5, and that time he has to be able to block the check. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If the rook was on not on d4 but on d3, then it's a draw. Then you will not be able to make it. So rook had to come to d4, because when king came to b5, it could come to the fourth rank, and block with the help of the support of the king. He could block the check. That was very crucial. Okay, so this is absolutely the end game. again we'll start from the thing here, and remember the white king can come up to c6, okay, not c5. The moment he comes to c5, then he's no longer protecting the pawn, right? Fifth rank he cannot, so he can come up to c6. From there he can jump to b5, but when the black rook gives a check, then he has to be able to block it. So rook to d4 is, yeah, so this immediately doing this would not help, because we saw that black will start checking right now here itself, right? And so what we saw is that here the move was rook to d4, okay. So this is what is called building the bridge, okay. This is a very old position from 1634 or something, so almost 500 years back, okay. See, that time also people were analyzing the endgame so much in detail, okay. So this is Lucena position. If we go to L4, then we will have a whole lot of study to do just on the various types of Lucena positions, but I'm just introducing it here. Okay, any other defensive thing that you can think of for black? Idea? Yeah, we can think of king to e6, and then when king came here, you can think of attacking the rook.
You just promote, right?
Sorry?
You just promote the pawn if he attacks your rook.
When?
If he attacks your rook, you can promote your pawn. No, if you play king to e6, you can promote it.
If you come to e6, then yeah, you can promote the pawn, right? I mean, you can. Yeah, that's right. You can simply promote the pawn. So you cannot attack the rook right now. So rook to d4, and we'll go to one more position. We'll just see it. Let us see it. Let us just create it synthetically, okay, just for this purpose. What if the king was on not on d8 but on d7? Then also it is not. So let us say the king comes up here, okay. Now he is going to, if you come here, then immediately he is going to attack, right? Now what will you do?
King to c7.
Yeah, not c7, d7. King to d7 now wins, because the black king has come too far up. Now he will not be able to blockade the d7 and d8. So now white again wins in a different move way. Now white king manages to come to c8. Now no matter what, white rook will come to c7, shield the white king. So like if you simply give a check, now there is no point. Now this, and now
Sir, king to c7, so that white can promote.
when
The rook is attacked on d5.
yeah, but here what happens is this.
No, in the previous move.
So previous move, where?
Yeah. Now white can play c7, king to c7, right?
King to c7, huh?
Yeah.
King to c7.
Rook c2 check.
C2.
King to d7.
King to d7. Okay, then it is rook to b2.
Okay.
So fine. So I think we saw this. What we found is that in the other position where we started with king to d7, wherever we came to, if the other idea that we need to know is that rook, if black king allows it, then the rook can come to the 7th rank, cutting off the black king. If the black king is on the 8th rank, then it is no use. But if the black king is on the 6th rank, then cutting off on the thing where we did just now, right? What did we do? somewhere we were saying, yeah, this cutoff works. This cutoff works because the black king has come out too much ahead in the thing. Now the thing will work. Earlier it did not work because the black king was on e8 and then it did not work. You coming to giving checks on c7, c8, etc. It didn't work because the black king was on the 8th rank. Okay, but if black king leaves it and comes up, then you can build a shield like this. Okay. All right. So this is a very, very intensive position. Go through it. It is not, I mean, you have to spend at least an hour and trying out all the moves to understand it. Okay, right now just I have explained it to you or you saw in a book doesn't mean you understand. I struggled to understand all the concepts of it. I think I struggled like 2-3 days. I was kept on trying out certain things and then and there was something I was missing. So we will come to the next position. This is known as the, just 1 second. Just 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. So this study is known as the Indian knight. Okay, Indians were very good with the knights traditionally in chess. Okay, so this is a very interesting study. How the knights keeps interfering. One white's knight, actually white wins by continuously having the knight interfere with the rook, black rook. So obviously white to play, first move is very simple, right? D7, threatening to queen the pawn. So
Sir, after
Rook b8.
rook to b8, then you have knight to c8.
correct, absolutely. This is the first interference, okay? But then
Why can't the rook take the knight?
Because
Then
you
I
take
need
with
to
the pawn.
No, before the second move.
Because
sorry,
then the
the
pawn
first-
promotes.
yeah,
Yeah.
then this thing promotes, right? Queen.
Yeah.
So first is rook to b8, then knight to c8. So rook takes the pawn.
Yeah, makes sense.
What is the idea? If you queen,
Then
rook
rook
comes to
d5
d5, check the king. So the queen will have to take the rook and then pawn. So knight against pawn, it's a draw, right? Anyway, single knight you will not be able to checkmate the king, and the pawn is a central pawn, right? So
Knight to b6.
knight to b6, correct, interfering with the d5 square. But black has got one more option. Black rook goes to thing. Now he says that okay, you queen it, I will give the check from d4.
Knight d5.
Yeah, knight to d5 is the final interference. Checking,
This one
forking
should-
the
yeah.
sorry. So forcing the pawn to take it, and now obviously able to queen, right? Again, this endgame after this is not given. I mean, it is a theoretical win, but maybe we should study those endgames, rook versus queen. It is important to study, but this is where the endgame study ends. Okay, I think we have just time to study one more, which we had. I did not show it to you last time when we did this in level 2. But remember, there was a Reti study with diagonal being equal to the same distance as straight line, etc. So can you see white to play and draw? Does it look possible?
King to
Fold.
g6.
King to g6, correct. Black pushes the pawn.
Take the h5 pawn.
Yeah, you take the pawn.
Take the h5 pawn means black wins.
Oh,
Once the white pawn falls, right, then the connected passers, king cannot do anything against a connected two pawns. He will simply be going around waiting, and then the black king will come and. Okay, I think we have to see this study. Okay, and the time is just ending, so I'm going to end the class now and restart it. Okay, let me restart the Zoom. Please join back, and then we will see a couple of more studies. Okay, I will including this one. So let us do that. Let me stop the recording.